There we go. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Narf from Narport, back today with another episode. It is a pleasure to be here. And today I'm going to talk about a couple things. Number one, the college football game from this past weekend between Georgia and Alabama. I'll recap all of the NFL Week 4 games. And some huge news has broke out throughout the National Football League. Davante Adams has requested a trade for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll get into that shortly and give out my Week 5 NFL predictions. Let's get into it. Starting off with the Georgia and Alabama game. What a game this was. Alabama wins 41-34 in Alabama. Let's talk about it. Georgia was down 28-0 and fought their way back into the game. I thought Alabama was going to choke for a second, but I love how Alabama played and kept the lead. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. But anyways, I'm proud of Georgia. They fought their way back into the game, came up short to Alabama. But you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And I want to get to the stats real quick. I want to talk about that Alabama quarterback because that dude is special. That dude is special. One second. All right, there we go. Jay Moreau, 27 for 33 for completion, threw for 374 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That Alabama quarterback balled out. Man, he is a stud. Our defense had no answer for him. The Georgia quarterback, Carson Beck, 27 for 50 for completion, threw for 439 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It was a rough game for Carson Beck because the defense for Alabama was coming at him. He had a lot of pressure. And that's it. That's all I got to say for the Georgia and Alabama game. It was a good game. Every time Georgia and Alabama face each other, it's always a good game. It's always going to come down to the wire. It's always going to come down to like a last-second field goal or a last-second touchdown. Those two teams know each other, and that is going to be a long-time rivalry in the college football league for the next couple of years. Now moving on to the NFL, and before I get into the games, I like to talk about the huge news that broke out earlier. Davante Adams has requested a trade for the Las Vegas Raiders. I figured out this time was going to come because Davante Adams is not going to win in Vegas. He needs to go to a contender. And I said this before the season to myself. Davante Adams is not going to be with the Raiders for that long because he is frustrated with them. He wants to win. And I believe that Davante Adams will be traded to the New York Jets and reunite with his boy Aaron Rodgers. And if that happens, the Jets will win the AFC East and go on a deep playoff run to the AFC Championship game. Mark my words. Now moving on to the Week 4 games from this past weekend. Starting off with the Thursday night game, we got the Dallas Cowboys defeating the New York Giants 20-15 in MetLife Stadium in New York. This was a sloppy game. It was battle of defense, basically. But Dallas got the win. Dak Prescott, he had a good game. The offense was very good. Looking at the stats for Dak Prescott, 22 for 27 for completion, threw for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That was a bounce-back game for Dak Prescott, and the Cowboys needed that game because if they would have lost that game, their season would have been over, realistically. CeeDee Lamb, he had a good game. 8 targets, 7 receptions, and 1 touchdown and 98 yards. The defense stepped up for the Cowboys big time. Now moving on to the Giants. The Giants, okay game. They got points, but they ain't scored no touchdowns. Field goals are not going to win you the game. Touchdowns are going to win you the game. Looking at the stats for Daniel Jones, rough game. 29 for 40 for completion. Giants, it's time to move on for Daniel Jones. He is not your guy. He threw for 281 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And I said this 29 for 40 for completion. The New York Giants paid Daniel Jones all that money just for him to perform like this. Johns, what are y'all doing? But anyways, though, Cowboys win 20-15, improved to 2-2 of the season, and Giants fall to 1-3. Next game, New Orleans Saints versus my Atlanta Falcons. As y'all see, I got my Falcons shirt on. I went to the game. I was at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I had a great time. Falcons won 26-24 off of Younghoe Koo's game-winning field goal. Let's talk about it. Both teams played a good game. Derek Carr, he was great. The offense was great. The defense was great. The Falcons, special teams did their thing. They scored a touchdown off that muff punt by the Saints. The defense scored a pick six with Troy Anderson. Shout out to Troy Anderson for that pick six because that was huge. The offense played okay. Now let's go to the stats for the Falcons. Kirk Cousins, 21 for 35 for completion. That's a good stat. Kirk Cousins is continuing to get better every week, and the offense is improving. Once our O-line gets healthier, the Falcons will be a very good team, and they will be contenders in the NFC South and the NFC. Kirk Cousins also threw for 238 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Hey, Kirk Cousins really didn't have to do that much, but he did his job, took his team down the field, and got the game-winning field goal by Younghoe Koo. Moving on to the Saints stats. Derek Carr, 28 for 36 for completion, threw for 239 yards, 0 touchdown, and 1 interception. It's crazy how both of these QBs did not even score a touchdown. They didn't even throw a touchdown in this game. And this was a close game. It was defense and special teams throughout the whole game. And that's it. Falcons win 26-24 in Atlanta. I had a great time at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Rise up, baby. I was so excited that we got the win over the Saints. The Falcons are 2-2 of the season, and so has the Saints. Moving on to the Vikings and Packers. Vikings win 31-29 in Lambeau Field, improved to 4-0 of the season. The Minnesota Vikings, who expected the Minnesota Vikings to be 4-0 right now? McCarthy is out. Sam Darnold coming in playing like an MVP. This dude, Sam Darnold, is balling right now. The offense is elite. The defense is elite. The Vikings are Super Bowl contenders. Yes, the Minnesota Vikings are Super Bowl contenders. Let's go over the stats from Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, good game. 20 for 28 for completion, threw for 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Sam Darnold is balling, okay? Don't be surprised if Sam Darnold takes the Vikings to the NFC Championship or make it out the NFC. Because I believe they could beat San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Detroit in the playoffs. Justin Jefferson, good game. Best wide receiver in the NFL. 8 targets, 6 receptions, and 1 touchdown. Justin Jefferson averages a touchdown every game. He's one of the best. Moving on to the Packers. This was Jordan Love's first game back. He did really good. Not that good, but he was struggling because he just came off an injury. So once he's fully healthy, the Packers are back to being a contender. Jordan Love he went 32 for 54 for completion, threw for 389 yards, 4 TDs, and 3 interceptions. That's a solid game for Jordan Love for his first game back. The Vikings were up 28-0. I thought the Vikings were going to run him out the stadium, but now here come the Green Bay Packers. They fought their way back into this game and just came up short. And that's it. Vikings won 31-29 in Lambeau Field, improves to 4-0 the season. Next game, the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets. Broncos win 10-9 in New York, MetLife Stadium. This was a sloppy game. Broncos, they're 2-2 of the season. Bo Nix got his second win as a Bronco. Let's talk about it. Bo Nix, good game. 12 for 25 for completion. Threw for 60 yards and 1 TD and 1 touchdown. No interceptions. This game between the Jets and the Broncos was a defensive game. It was in the rain, so it wasn't really that much going on. The Jets had a chance to win the game. The kicker missed a field goal, so Broncos won off of that. Moving on to the Jets, Aaron Rodgers played poor. 24 for 42 for completion, threw for 225 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Hey, listen, the Jets are a very good team, and it's just week 4 of the NFL season. It's not like it's week 8, week 9, or something like that. It's still early in the season. Now we're in the month of October. This is where things start kind of crunching in a little bit, like playoff implications or stuff like that. All right, we got to win this game because this game can determine our season. It's coming, it's about that time in the NFL season. And that's it. Broncos win 10-9 in New York, MetLife Stadium, improved to 2-2 of the season. Moving on to the next game, we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers destroyed the Eagles 33-16 in Tampa Bay. The Eagles, I understand they're dealing with injuries, but I expected a close competitive game. But the Bucs just ran them off the field. Baker Mayfield is that dude. And he is the reason why the Bucs are in first place in the NFC South right now. Let's go over the stats for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, 30 for 47 for completion, threw for 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Baker is him. Okay, there's no other way around it. He is a top 5 quarterback in the NFC right now. Moving on to the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, he did okay. 18 for 30 for completion, threw for 158 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. See, I understand that the Philadelphia Eagles are injured, but you can't be going out like this. 16-33. I thought the Eagles were going to come out here with a fight. They got a good defense. Their offense, I understand he doesn't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but Hurts, you got to play better. And I understand it's week 4 of the season, but that's not an embarrassing loss for the Eagles. But the Bucs win 33-16, improved to 3-1 of the season. Baker Mayfield is that guy. The defense for the Bucs is very good. Next game, Bears win 24-18 in Chicago, improved to 2-2 of the season. Let's talk about it. Caleb Williams, he had a very good game. And here's the thing about the Bears. I got this team making the playoffs. And the only thing the Bears have to work on is their offensive line. If the Bears can get their offensive line together and Caleb Williams does not turn the ball over, the Bears are going to be a very good team. Caleb Williams stats I'm looking at right now. 17 for 23 from completion. Threw for 157 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. Caleb Williams, bounce back game. As long as the online blocks and Caleb Williams doesn't turn the ball over, I believe that the Bears will be good. And the Chicago Bears have a good defense. So that's why I got them making the playoffs. Now, the Rams, they were banged up with injuries, but it was still a close game, though. That's how I wanted the Eagles and Bucs to be. Eagles dealing with injuries, but it's still a very close game. Matthew Stafford, he had a good game. 20 for 29 for completion. Threw for 224 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's okay, but Chicago's defense is insane. So it was a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford. And that's all I got to say. Bears win 24-18, improved to 2-2 of the season. Next game, we got the Steelers and the Colts. Colts win 27-24, handing the Pittsburgh Steelers their first loss of the NFL season. Anthony Richardson went out the game with an injury. Joe Flacco came into the game and balled out. And here's my hot take on the Colts. If Joe Flacco starts for the rest of the year, the Colts can win the AFC South. And I got this team making the playoffs. But if Flacco is the starting quarterback for the rest of the season, the Colts might win the division. I'm gonna just keep it real with you. Let's go over the stats. Anthony Richardson, before he got hurt, 3 for 4 for completion attempts, threw for 71 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Joe Flacco, he had a good game. 16 for 26 for completion, threw for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. I forgot Joe Flacco still played football. And this dude is playing at a high level. He is playing like that season when he took the Ravens to the Super Bowl and beat the 49ers. That's how he's playing. Joe Flacco, hey, shout out to Joe Flacco, man. I feel like Joe Flacco can lead the Colts to the AFC South title. Moving on to the Steelers. Justin Fields, 22 for 34 for completion, threw for 312 yards, 1 touchdown, and no interception. The Steelers, they played a good game. The offense, the defense was great. Colts, they played a good game. Both teams played great on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And these are 2 playoff contenders right here. And that's it. Colts win 27-24 and put 2-2 of the season. Next up, we got the Jaguars and Texans. Texans win 24-20 in Houston. Texans score off of a game-winning touchdown. They were down 17-20. C.J. Stroud drove them down the field, scored a touchdown, and won them the game. C.J. Stroud, that dude is elite. Okay, there's no other way around it. This dude is amazing. He is. I just love C.J. Stroud. Now let's go to the stats for C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud, he had a good game as always because that dude is insane. 1 second. I'm going to try to pull it up real quick. All right, since I can't talk about that at the moment, I'm going to talk about Trevor Lawrence stats and the Jaguars real quick. Trevor Lawrence went 18 for 33 for completion attempts. Trevor Lawrence is playing great, okay? The Jacksonville Jaguars are 0-4. Doug Peterson is on the hot seat. Yes, Doug Peterson, the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is on the hot seat. Because I did not expect this team to be 0-4. I expected this team to complete for a playoff spot and to win the AFC South. But I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville, but they need to get it together because they suck big time. Back to what I was saying at the stats for Trevor Lawrence, 18 for 33 for completion, threw for 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He had a pretty good game. But the Jaguars, I don't know what's going on with them boys, but they need to find a way to win some games. That's all I got to say. Moving on to the Texans, C.J. Stroud, 27 for 40 for completion, threw for 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The Houston Texans are Super Bowl contenders as well. They are a top 5 team in the AFC. C.J. Stroud has weapons in Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell. They got an elite defense, and I believe that the Houston Texans can make the AFC Championship game. And that's it. Texans win 24-20. Next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals picking up on their first win of the season against the Carolina Panthers, 34-23 in Carolina. Let's talk about it. Joe Burrow, good game, 22 for 31 for completion, threw for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The Bengals got their first win of the season, and just like I expected, because if they would have lost this game, man, these talks about the Bengals will be crazy right now. Should they blow it up? Coaching should be fired. Jamar Chase frustrated, looking for a new contract. He might sit out for the rest of the season. I'm just saying. Bengals play great on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And the Bengals will go on a run. I got this team going on a run because they always start off the season slow and they pick up their rhythm. around this time. So I believe that the Cincinnati Bengals will still make the playoffs. Moving on to the Panthers. Andy Dalton, 25 for 40 for completion, threw for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Andy Dalton, he had an okay game against his former team. This was his revenge game. And I'll say he played pretty solid against his former team. The defense for the Panthers is trash because that one highlight, they could have tackled Jamar Chase. He had like 7 defenders on him, and then he spun out of it for a touchdown. That was crazy. But that's it. Bengals win 34-24 in Carolina, and they are now 1-3 of the season. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games, we got the Washington Commanders versus the Arizona Cardinals. Washington wins 42-14 in Arizona. Jaden Daniels, that dude is balling right now. He is carrying the Washington Commanders. And I can't believe I'm seeing it right now, but the Washington Commanders are probably winning the NFC East this year. Now, I understand Philly's dealing with injuries and Dallas is up and down, but I feel like they can compete with both of those teams for the division. And I believe that Washington can make the playoffs as well. If they don't win the division, they'll be a wild card team. Because Washington has a good offense and they got a solid defense. Let's go to the stats for Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, amazing game. 26 for 30 for completion. Threw for 233 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Man, after that loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1, Jaden Daniels went on a roll. Man, Jaden Daniels has been balling. Hey, Lamar Jackson 2.0, baby. Let's go to the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, 16 for 22 for completion, threw for 142 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. That was a bad game from Kyler Murray and the Cardinals because that blowout, I expected a close game too, but I didn't know Washington was going to run them out of the stadium. And then at the end, you had Commanders fans taking over Arizona. Like, what was going on? But Jaden Daniels is him. Okay? Washington, you found yourself a franchise quarterback, and he will take y'all to a Super Bowl one day. And that's it. Commanders win 42-14 and were 3-1 of the season. Next game, we got the Patriots and 49ers. Niners win 30-13 at home in San Francisco. Just like I expected. The 49ers got everybody back. Deebo Samuel played. George Kittle played. Hey, when San Francisco gets everybody back and they're fully healthy, they are scary. They are going to be the team to watch in the NFC. Brock Purdy, he had a good game, 15 for 27 for completion, threw for 288 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. The Patriots, Jacoby Brissett, 19 for 32 for completion, threw for 168 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. I think it's time for the New England Patriots to bench Jacoby Brissett and bring in Drake May, because if Drake May is starting for the New England Patriots, the Patriots will have more wins than they do right now. They'll have at least 2 wins. But Jacoby Brissett is not the guy. But let's talk about the 49ers since they won the game. The offense was great and the defense was great for the San Francisco 49ers. They are back to looking like a contender. And hopefully these boys stay healthy for the rest of the season. Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns and the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders win 20-16 at home in Vegas. The Raiders didn't have Devontae Adams or Max Crosby. Those are their best 2 players on the team. On offense, Devontae Adams is the best player. He didn't play. On defense, Max Crosby is the best player. He was out. And the Raiders found a way to win this game. Let's go over the stats. Gardner Minshew, good game. 14 for 24 for completion. Threw for 130 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Even though he didn't score touchdowns, he had a good game. But the Raiders did their thing. They got away to beat the Browns at home in Vegas. I picked them to win this game. And it was going to be close. I'm glad that the Raiders got the job done. Let's go to the Browns. Deshaun Watson, 24 for 34 from completion, threw for 176 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. I can't believe the Browns lost this game. I mean, I thought, since the Raiders don't have Adams and Crosby, I was like, the Browns might win this game. But I don't know what happened. Deshaun Watson is not the guy. I'm going to keep saying this every week. He's not the guy. He is inconsistent. And if the Browns want to make the playoffs, they need to start Jameis Winston. Because Deshaun Watson is not going to lead them there. And that's it. Raiders 120-16, improved to 2-2 of the season. Next up, we got the Chiefs defeating the Chargers 17-10 in LA. Chiefs are 4-0 this season. They still continue to find ways to win. Patrick Mahomes, he had a good game. 19 for 29 for completion, for 245 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And prayers up to Rashee Rice with the injury. I hope he's okay. But that is a big-time loss for the Kansas City Chiefs because Rashee Rice is like Mahomes' go-to guy, but they still got Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce, so they'll be fine. Travis Kelce is back. Let's go over the stats. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 89 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Hey, that's the Travis Kelce we've been expecting. That's the Travis Kelce we've been waiting for. He is back. What a game by Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. They find ways to win games. Let's talk about the Chargers real quick. Justin Herbert, he played good. He had a solid game. 16 for 27 for completion. Threw for 179 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. The Chargers were up 10-0, and then the Chiefs came back and won it. I'm telling you, the Chiefs love playing from behind. It don't matter how much they're down by. They can be down by 30, and Patrick Mahomes lead the Chiefs to a comeback victory. That's how good they are. Excuse me right there. But that's it. Chiefs win 17-10, improved to 4-0 the season. Now we go to the Sunday night game. The Baltimore Ravens destroyed the Buffalo Bills 35-10 in Baltimore. Josh Allen, he had a poor game. The offense didn't show up. The defense didn't show up. The Ravens played phenomenal. The offense, the defense was great. The defense put pressure on Josh Allen. That's how you beat the Bills. Let's go over the stats for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, 13 for 18 for completion, threw for 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Derrick Henry, ever since he arrived in Baltimore, he been that guy. Okay? Derrick Henry is the reason why the Ravens offense is so great. Let's go over the stats. Derrick Henry, 24 attempts, ran for 199 yards and 1 touchdown. And his longest touchdown was an 87-yard to the house. Ravens just got the ball, and what happened? Derrick Henry comes right out of the gate and scores a touchdown. And the Ravens are back. They are now 2-2 of the season, started off 0-2. And people were panicking for the Ravens for the Ravens when it started off 0-2. But they found ways to bounce back. They beat the Cowboys, almost blew the lead. They could be 1-3 right now. but they are 2-2. I got this team making it to the Super Bowl. I have high expectations for Lamar Jackson. I want to see him win a Super Bowl, and I want this team to win the AFC North because they are the best team in that division. Now, last but not least, we move on to the Sunday night games. I'm gonna start off with the first one, the Titans and Dolphins. This was a snooze fest. Okay, I didn't really watch much of this game. I just really saw highlights. Titans won 31-12, got their first win of the season. Let's talk about it. Will Levis, he got hurt. He had a shoulder injury. Mason Rudolph came in big time for the Titans, and he played great. Mason Rudolph stats: 9 for 17 for completion, threw for 85 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Will Levis, 3 for 4 for completion, threw for 25 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I believe that the Titans should bench Will Levis for Mason Rudolph because Mason Rudolph is the guy. It showed last night that the Titans should bench Will Levis. But the rushing game for the Titans was very great. Tony Pollard, he had a good game, 22 attempts, 88 yards, 1 touchdown. The Titans put 31 on the Dolphins, which I kind of expected because the Dolphins without Tua suck, okay? And I expected a close game, but shoot, I didn't know the Titans were going to blow them out. Let's go to the Dolphins. Tyler Huntley, 14 for 22 for completion, threw for 96 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. I mean, when Tua's not on the field, this is how the Dolphins are going to look like. And the season might be over for the Dolphins because when Tua comes back, they might have at least 2 wins. But we just pray for the best. And that's it. Titans won 31-12 in Miami. Congrats to the Titans for getting their first win of the season. Then we go to the last game of Monday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions. Lions win 42-29 in Detroit and put 3-1 of the season. How about them Lions? How about them Lions? Jared Goff, the MVP for the Detroit Lions. 18 for 18 for completion attempts. This dude went 100% for completion. Hasn't thrown an incompletion all game. Now see why Lions fans love Jared Goff. They be chanting his name at the games and stuff like that. Jared Goff, because he is him. He is that guy for the Detroit Lions. And he will lead this team to a Super Bowl, and they will win. I'm not saying it will be this season, but in the future, Jared Goff will bring the city of Detroit a Super Bowl. Back to the stats. Jared Goff, 100% for completion, threw for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. What a game. The highlight of the game was when Amon-Ra St. Brown threw that touchdown to Jared Goff. Oh, man, that was amazing. Lions played great on both sides of the ball. The offense was phenomenal. The defense was great for the Lions. And the Lions are contenders. They are a top 3 team in the NFC. And they can compete with San Francisco and Detroit. Moving on to the Seahawks, Geno Smith, he had a good game. The offense was great. But where was Seattle defense? It's like, all right, every time they score a touchdown, they're back into this game. And then all of a sudden, the defense disappears. I'm like, Seattle, y'all not going to play any defense? Because Detroit's offense ran all over them. They just did. That's how successful the Lions offense was. They ran all over the Seattle Seahawks defense. And that's it. Lions win 42-29 in Detroit. First of all, Those uniforms that the Lions wore, they go hard. Those were the cleanest uniforms I've ever seen in my life. Back to what I was saying, congrats to the Lions. They went 42-29 in Detroit and improved to 3-1 this season. Now, last but not least, I give out my Week 5 NFL predictions. Starting off with Thursday night game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming to the ATL, taking on my Atlanta Falcons. This is going to be a good one. NFC South showdown. Both teams came off of big statement wins. The Bucks beat the Eagles. The Falcons beat the Saints. So both teams have a little momentum coming into Thursday nights. And this will be a very good game. Kirk Cousins, he's been balling. Baker Mayfield's been balling. I feel like this is going to be a defensive game because both defenses are very good and they both have a great offense. But y'all know who I'm rolling with, man. I'm rolling with the Atlanta Falcons to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football and improve to 3-2 of the season. Rise up, let's go Falcons. Now we have our first London game of the season. We got the New York Jets versus the Minnesota Vikings. This will be a good one. The Jets are looking for a bounce back after that loss to the Broncos. The Vikings are looking forward to go 5-0 of the season. Give me the Vikings because I love the way Sam Darnold is playing right now. Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL. He will score a touchdown. And I got this dude in my fantasy. So, I go crazy. With Jay Jettison's in my fantasy and he's going off. Now we move on to the 1 o'clock games. We got the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. AFC North showdown. This game will be played in Cincinnati. I got the Bengals beating the Ravens by a field goal. Yes, I got the Bengals winning by a field goal. They're at home. They're coming off a good win against the Panthers. And I understand it's the Panthers, but they got to win. A win is a win. Give me the Bengals over the Ravens in a close game. We got the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears. Give me the Chicago Bears to win this game. I feel like Caleb Williams is going to have a monster game. The defense is going to go crazy. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Andy Dalton. So I got the Bears beating the Panthers. And then we have a good one in Houston, the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. I got the Houston Texans winning this game in a high-scoring game, like 35-32, or they be in the 40s or something like that. I feel like this will be a high-scoring game. You got C.J. Stroud and Josh Allen. Give me the Texans at home over Buffalo. Next up, we got the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going with the Jaguars to pick up their first win of the season, and because it's in Jacksonville. When the Colts and Jaguars play each other in Jacksonville, the Jaguars have their number, okay? The Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Excuse me, like I said, the Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. That's 10 years. So I got the Jaguars. And it's pretty not that much of an upset. Next up, we got the Dolphins and the Patriots. You see, I'm leaning towards the Patriots, but I understand the Dolphins without Tua are trash. I'm going to still roll with Miami, okay? Give me the Dolphins over the Patriots in a close defensive game. Like, final score be like 13-10. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns and the Washington Commanders. I'm rolling with the Commanders to beat the Browns. Jaden Daniels is him. He will have a monster game. The offense will do their thing. The defense will be great. Deshaun Watson will not have a good game for the Cleveland Browns because the defense is going to apply a lot of pressure on him. So I got the Commanders beating the Browns. We got the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. In Denver, Davante Adams is not going to play. And it's crazy because this is a coin flip game. It's like, who should I pick? Broncos, Raiders, Broncos, Raiders, Broncos, Raiders, Broncos, Raiders. And I was like, and here's the thing. The Raiders played good last week without Davante Adams. But I said, forget about it. I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders to beat the Denver Broncos in Denver. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. Give me the 49ers. That's just an easy pick. We got the Green Bay Packers and the LA Rams. I got the Packers. The Rams are dealing with injuries, but I feel like it will be a close game. And then we got the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks. Like, come on, there's no other way around it. The Giants suck. Sunday Night Football, we got a good one in Pittsburgh. The Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cowboys are coming off a 10-day rest. The Steelers coming off a loss to the Colts. I'm going with the Steelers to get this win. I feel like the Steelers will win by a touchdown. Justin Fields is going to have a very good game. Dak Prescott is going to have a good game, but the Cowboys better be ready. Their offensive line, you got to come prepared because the Steelers defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is the best defense in the NFL right now. Okay, let's just go ahead and get that out the way. The Steelers have the best defense in the NFL, and there's no other way around it. So I got the Steelers beating the Cowboys, but I won't be surprised if the Cowboys win this game. And then last but not least, we got Monday Night Football between the New Orleans Saints and the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. I got the Chiefs winning this game, but I believe that the Saints will put up a fight. Yes, the Saints defense is good enough to be competitive with the Chiefs offense. No Rashee Rice, so the Saints could win this game. So we'll just see how this game goes, but I'm rolling with the Chiefs to go 5-0 this season. And that concludes today's show for the NAR Report, episode 6. It was a pleasure doing this show today. Thank you for all the people that joined. Thank you for the love and support. Make sure you follow me on all of my social media platforms, TikTok and Instagram at @D_NAR_report. All of that is in my bio. I go live every Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. And that's it. Stay tuned for more. NAR.